James, I was actually wondering the same thing, to be honest. James was wondering when harrier hawks develop the ability to flush red, because often you see them when they're being chased like this or mobbed by other bird species. They flush a bright red color on their cheeks. James, and during when they're breeding as well. James, I don't know when the juveniles do. I assume it would be around the same time that they get their adult plumage. That would be my guess. But I'm honestly not 100% sure. I would have thought that if it could flush red now, it would have. Especially after being chased by geese. I mean, buffalo weavers are one thing, but a goose, they're about the same size. And at least if the goose lands in the water, it can get out again. But if a harrier hawk lands in the water, that's it. I doubt it would manage to survive that. It would be under some serious stress at this point, and I think it's decided that it's time for its heart rate to slow down a little bit. Take a break, take a breather. What a very cool sighting. The hippo agrees. I don't know if you heard that, but I did. It just gave a very loud snort of water. That has been really epic. I'm going to keep an eye on it. If it gets up to its old tricks again, then I'll let you know. Yes, hippo. It's decided enough attention's going to the birds. They're right here, and they can blow bubbles. Or, disappear. Hey! Here we go. Are you having a great time? This has been an epic trip to Chitwa Dam. I'm going to start making my way towards Cheetah Plains, where there is, International Leopard Day should have been yesterday. Tingana is on Cheetah Plains, so I'm going to go and see if I can start making my way into that lineup. But while I do that, let's send you back to our other leopard of the afternoon with Byron.
Now look at this, everyone. This leopard's up and is moving up the tree. Fantastic. Oh, perfect. It's paid off for us to sit and wait here. Oh, yes, isn't this great? Wonderful. I'm just going to reverse slightly. Fergs, I'm sorry, let me just reverse a little bit so we can see more of that kill. How's that? Is that a bit better? That's cool, there we go. I just want to update my friend Chris quickly, because he is also interested in this leopard sighting. Chris for Byron. Now, you see, he's got it in a perfect position there to be able to feed quite easily. It looks like he's on that log, so he can lay down and stand up quite comfortably and feed on that kill. And that's, again, that's well done to him for hoisting it in a tree like this. It's obviously much easier for him to climb over this fallen over branch, and I can stand and feed quite easily. Chris for Byron. Chris, this animal's up at the moment in the tree. Might be worthwhile coming back. Hey, firm, just myself here. Make your way straight in. Now, you know what? I wonder if I don't actually just try change a little bit of our angle. hold on, folks, sorry. I just want to try to see more of his face with him actually feeding on that. I'll keep you on that side of the car. Through there, perhaps, folks. Is that a little bit better? I just wonder if... Is it? Okay. Those branches aren't in the way there. The joys of positioning a vehicle in a sighting to make sure we get the best view. Hold on. Sorry. There's some trees behind us. Don't worry, we're going to get a lovely view of this leopard feeding. Is that good? There we go. Oh dear. Christina, I missed the beginning of your question. Something with the hoisted Impala. What was it, Alice? Oh, high enough. Okay. So, yeah, so Christina, the carcass, you know what? I think it is high enough that it won't be scavenged by hyenas. The legs are dangling down, but I wonder, you know what, a adult hyena could probably reach those legs, but you'd find he might try and hoist it a little bit higher. I think as long as he can try and get those legs up a little bit, hyena might be able just to get those legs. Oh, that's such a beautiful view of him now. So, Christina, I don't know. It's difficult. It looks high enough. It's difficult to tell from there. Like that position, completely high enough. The legs now, you can see they've lifted slightly. See that? And that's definitely high enough. No hyena will be able to reach that. Oh, this is what we're waiting for, everyone. See how patience paid off. Watching this leopard climb back up the tree and now start feeding. This is great. And it just goes to show you, we always say, when we're out here and we sometimes think nothing's happening, but there's always something happening. And right outside camp, we're probably 300 meters from our camp, and there's a male leopard with a kill. So it just shows you that, these leopards, or all the predators in general, they are stealthy, they are very good hunters, and it's not easy for us to always see them, find them. But it just shows they have got kills, they are doing very well. Probably trying to get to some of the soft bits of that Impala. Now, Chris Rogue, I'm not sure. You asked if Hosana maybe killed an unsuspecting loser of a rat fight with the males. I couldn't see if this was a full-grown male. I don't know if they're serious horns. I just want the leopard to try and move its head a little bit so we might be able to see. Did you have any view, Fergs? Did you see anything?
I saw a small horn, but I'm not...
Small horns, yeah. Let's see if I'll try to see if we can move the leopard. I'm joking, we're not going to move the leopard. Just hopefully he moves. We might be able to see. You know what? Those look like small horns. I don't think it was. I'm not sure. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now, Lavina, you asked if he would share with his sister. Now, I'm not sure. Usually, and I'll tell you what happens is leopards, they do feed one at a time. And the chances of the female arriving and going up and feeding now are almost 0 to none. There's no chance she would do that. He would act quite aggressively towards her, even though it is his sister. But if he was finished feeding and moved down the tree, if she was around and she was able to get up and feed, I think at this age, yes, there is a still small possibility that she would be able to feed and he would be okay with it. I think, again, because of the age. But soon he probably won't like to share his kill with anyone, any other leopard. Chris Rogue, I just had a look at those horns. That's a young Impala. That's not a rutting Impala. That would not have been a full-grown male rutting. You can see the horns. They probably, this Impala, I would guess, would have been born in November, December 2015, judging by the size of those horns. So it's a year and a half old. Getting some of the juicy bits around the head there. I can hear some of the bones crunching. I really am so impressed with this young male leopard. He's done very, very well to get this carcass. There's still a lot of meat on there for him to feed on. There's still the whole neck, shoulder section, most of the rump and that has been fed on in the stomach area. But there's still a lot of food there. Ali, now, what I've seen, and often what I've seen is with leopards, when they make a kill, the first thing they start doing is they'll start feeding on it. They'll generally start with the rump, the hind quarters. That's the softer meat, the easier to get to, and there's a lot of meat there. So they'll feed on that first. But then they do start picking away at the stomach, opening it up, and possibly trying to get some of those stomach contents out. I've seen it before where they do scrape and try and scratch them out, and then just not necessarily bury it, and we spoke about it earlier, I think James was asking, but they don't bury it, but they'll scrape sand over it or try and mask the scent of those stomach contents, and that's also then easier for them to hoist the kill if they make it a bit lighter by taking those stomach contents out. So they do that maybe after they've fed for a little while. If they're not too hungry, they might do that in the beginning. It varies somewhat from what I've seen. But yes, they will try and get the stomach contents out at some point, and then it will potentially be a bit easier to hoist. Again, it's so wonderful to see a leopard feeding in a tree. The balance and the ability to stand and feed on a carcass is just amazing. Well, I know what I'm going to be doing for the next hour, and that is sitting here enjoying this sighting. And you see, like I said, it pays to be a bit patient. We got to see the leopard wake up and then climb up the tree and go and start feeding. I feel a bit sad for some of the other people that passed by, because they were here very briefly and then just decided to leave. Again, I've always said it. Guiding, you need to be patient, take your time. The other animals will come eventually, especially if you're out on a 3 or 4 day safari. Don't just rush from one sighting to another. There's no point in that. You're not really going to get the full experience, I don't think. It's good to sit and spend time with each animal when you do find them. Alright, well, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to see how much feeding this leopard does and what he gets up to. Let's go see what Tayla's up to on her walk.
We have finally arrived at the beautiful Chitwa Dam. It is absolutely stunning out here. And not only are the lapwings, or the blacksmith lapwings going absolutely mental. As you can see them flying around in the sky. They're not happy about us. Alarming. I just wouldn't be surprised if they swoop down and start bopping us on the head, though I hope that doesn't happen. But there's also something else that's lurking in the water, and at the moment it just looks like a log. And Jamie's already had a water monitor this evening. There we go, starting to move, just gone underneath the water now. But we keep seeing 2 really big water monitors at Chitwa Dam, which is really quite nice. Now they're incredible swimmers. Here we go, here come the lapwings are finally settling down. Thank goodness. Thank you guys. Don't panic. It's just us. We're not going to eat your eggs, I promise you. However, that water monitor, on the other hand, would definitely like to eat your legs. Said that instead of saying I'll eat your eggs, I looked at Herbert and all I could see were his long legs, and I said legs. Water monitor will not come and eat your legs unless perhaps you've passed out in the middle of the bush. You should be okay. But actually just the colours that are reflecting off of the water at the moment with that water monitor just swimming is actually quite beautiful. We also got a lovely reflection of the clouds. It's actually ending up being quite a spectacular evening. Not a breath of wind out here. Just going for a little afternoon swim. Isn't that quite nice, Craig? Wouldn't you like to join him? Maybe not. Maybe in a swimming pool rather, hey? Yeah, a salt or a chlorinated swimming pool would be much better than swimming in this dam. I wouldn't want to get bilharzia or any other insects or parasites or bacterias crawling into my skin. But we've already been wading through here, of course, when we did the frog challenge. But I'm hoping it's going to get towards the bank now and show us how big it actually is. Because it's virtually impossible when they're in the water like this to be able to tell the size of a monitor lizard. But let's see, it's almost there. The last time I was here, I saw two. I saw a really big one that was well over a meter, maybe about 1.5 meters. And there was another one that was slightly smaller, maybe just less than 1 meter. Now, they wouldn't be too scared of something like the lapwings, and I'm wondering maybe that's why the lapwings are going a bit crazy, is perhaps they did see the monitor as it was sunning itself, catching the last of the rays this afternoon. Not ready to come out the water just yet, however. That is beautiful. Now, Jamie, you're wondering how long can a water monitor stay under the water for? I don't think quite as long as a hippopotamus. Maybe quite some time. Craig, do you know? You're quite keen on reptiles. I must be honest, I haven't actually come across the length of time that a water monitor can stay underwater for. So probably maybe a few minutes, but there's no need for them to stay underwater for that long. They don't feed underneath the water, so they're not like crocodiles that will actually rest themselves. No, it's okay, Chris. Chris is panicking in case he's worried that he's making it. Don't worry. Chris is one of the guides. He's actually one of the old school original Djuma guides. So you just hear him driving past us. He's on his way to the Leopard, so I'm sure they're very excited to go and join Byron. So as I was saying, is that they're not feeding actively under the water. Most of the time when they are getting something to eat, they're out of the water, they're scavenging, they're looking for eggs, they're raiding nests, they're feeding off of carcasses, so they don't actually need to hold their breaths for too long. But if any of you do know how long a water monitor can hold its breath for, please hashtag Safari Live, let us all know, educate me. It would be great to add that to my list of information. But it is just absolutely beautiful out here this afternoon, and these are the perfect conditions, of course, to go on a walk in. Now, George, you're wondering if that monitor lizard that we saw just a moment ago, I'm actually not sure where it's even disappeared. I think it's gone around and to the other side now. I'm wondering if they use their tails as weapons. They most certainly do, George. That tail is like a whip. It is very, very robust and very slender towards the tip as well. And we've actually seen it with a young leopardess named Kuchava, who is Tandi's older daughter. She's about 2.5 now or so. We saw her on Cheetah Plains one afternoon, myself and David. We were out driving and we came across this leopard. And anyway, she's walking through the long grass. And next minute, I got excited. I thought she'd caught a scrub hare. It wasn't a scrub hare. She was playing with a rock monitor. Now, rock monitors are a little bit more robust. They sort of look more like Godzilla compared to the water monitors. These guys, I think, are a little bit prettier. They've got more extravagant colors, and they don't have as broad of a head as the rock monitors do. Anyway, this rock monitor puffed himself out, was hissing, trying to make itself look as big as he can, because for a young leopard that would make a fantastic meal. And we've seen a young Hosana and Shongile feeding on monitor lizards before. Anyways, this lizard decided he had enough, and the next minute, after a couple of swipes that it had received from Kuchava, swung its body and went pa-pa and made a whipping noise. And she almost backed off down into the dam there for a moment, but she took a big jump back and she looked at it and she went, "You win. I'm out. And off she went again. So yes, they can. So you want to be very, very careful. Just as Komodo dragons will use their tails as whips, so do the monitor lizards. And you have to be very careful. Not only do they have that, they've also got a nasty bite on them. Because they do feed on a lot of carrion carcasses, that could, well, you find yourself in a little bit of trouble if you are bitten by one of them, or with an infection that you could get after the bite. But we're going to start heading back up towards quarantine. It's starting to get a little bit darker now, so we're going to have to head home shortly. Jamie, however, is also on the search for a spotted cat.
I'm on the search for, thanks very much, I'm on the search for a spotted cat indeed, and if you bear with me for just a few more seconds, that search should resolve itself in the form of a Tingana. Apparently he's just laid down in the grass, and as you know in Cheetah Plains, have a look there, long grass, does anyone see anything? Oh, there we go. Right, duh. There he is, found him. He was so flat that we could barely see him. He was so beautifully hidden. There we go, big yawn, perfect timing, because if he's yawning like this, there he goes, up he gets. Where are you going to head off to now, mister? It amazes me how big this massive male leopard's territory is. So compared to Hosana, for our new viewers that you've been looking at with Byron, this is a proper dominant male leopard in the prime of his life. Okay, and we're going to try and follow him because there's a good chance as it starts to get dark that he's going to start to call. So let us try and find a way through here. I'm going to have to go quite slowly. It's very thick and I would prefer to avoid the possibility of a flat tire. I fear as though I might have made a grievous error here. I have, because he's looking at that tree. Okay, we're gonna have to go around. Made life a bit difficult for myself there. Alright everybody, here we go. Whoopsie. How ready are you to fend off trees, Seb? Ready? No stress. The VR is a minor stress. I can feel Rollo's heart rate increase from behind me. He's in the tree. Perfect. You winning there, Rollo? Got it. I'll explain in a second. I have introduced Rollo several times, but I'll explain for our new viewers as well. You want to go back?
If you reverse, quite a nice.
Oh, perfect. Has he got a leaf in front of his face? Nope. Perfect. Flat cat on a marula branch. That is epic. Perfect. Thank you, boy. I was worried you were going to lie down in the grass again, and then we wouldn't have been able to see you properly at all. Now we've got this gorgeous view. Oh, I think he wants to go further up. Oh, which way are you going, mister? Did you not think this one through? Brief peekaboo. Oh, that is stunning. Oh. Well, thank you. You could not have made that any more perfect if you tried. Tingana in a marula tree at sunset. I don't think it gets much better than that. Oh, one big paw draping down. The one thing I love about Tingana, I don't know what it is about him, but there's something about Tingana's facial expression. He looks like a man with the weight of the world on his shoulders. That's just my impression of Tingana. That slightly droopy-eyed expression. He just looks so sad all the time. Like he's got deep concerns, and I suppose, as a dominant male leopard, he's got lots of hard work that he needs to do. He needs to patrol constantly, and Tingana does have a massive, massive territory. So that is pretty much keeping him on the move constantly. Yesterday when Byron saw him, he was to the far northwestern corner of Djuma, south of that on Hoffman's. And even before that, where Byron found him, he was even further west of that on Arathusa. He's now as far east in his territory as he can go, and he went straight through Torchwood on his way here. So Tingana is not a lazy leopard by any stretch of the imagination. He's been kept very busy. It's good to see, though, that he's had some time to eat in between. Somebody looks as though he's got a full belly. Now, compared to Hosana, he's probably about double his size, possibly even more, actually, looking at them both. Now, George, sorry, you're asking about leopard territories, but I just want to double check, because sometimes our communications aren't terribly clear. Alice, does what mean a change of territories? Scent marking. Scent marking. Okay, so George wants to know if scent marking means a change of territories. No, not at all, not necessarily. Scent marking most of the time, a large portion of the time, means a keeping of a territory. And it's not necessarily establishing one, but maintaining it. So he has to constantly patrol. His scent is not going to stay on his boundaries forever. And so he's got to rotate round and round and round and round, scent marking bushes to make sure that, I know it's hard work, isn't it? To make sure that he keeps that scent there so another male leopard doesn't think that he can just come in. But yes, if there is a shift in territories, then there is an increase in scent marking. And by scent marking, what we mean is literally just that, urinating on the bushes around them. And then what male leopards will do is they'll also scrape their feet, especially their back feet, in the urine itself and on the ground, and basically transfer the scent of their urine in between their toes so that it follows them as they walk. And a lot of animals do that. Rhino do that as well. And what I'm hoping is we'll get the second part of the whole territorial patrol as well this evening. And when Tingana does decide to come down from his marula tree, he might start to give his territorial call or his roar. And that's that deep sawing sound that we so unsuccessfully tried to imitate on World Leopard Day. Well, I know I was unsuccessful, can't speak for the others. I'm not moving. We've got prime position. We're definitely not moving out. And Laura B. in Alabama, you want to know if Tingana would potentially kill Hosana if he ran into him. I'm not sure about that. Obviously, there is a distinct possibility, a very strong possibility, that Tingana is the father of Hosana. He knows Hosana, he's met Hosana, and they've shared kills many times with Tingana. Karula and the two cubs in Tingana have all sat together and eaten together. And as the dominant male leopard, it would be counterintuitive to kill his own cub. However, Karula hasn't been in the area for a long time, and I'm not sure if that would play any kind of a role in Tingana's response to her. I'm not 100% sure. But leopards do strange things. Leopards don't read the textbooks. Leopards will surprise us. I don't think he would, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll tell you a little bit more about being a young male and being booted out of your father's territory in a bit. But speaking of the two leopards that we have, let's go from the father to the son.
Yeah, well, it's amazing that it just shows you how things can change in the bush. Now we've got two leopards to show you. A big male, and then apparently his son. Well, we all seem to think so, and I do think Tingana is probably the father of this male leopard, this young male. And but they're quite far from each other, and it just shows you how large that big male leopard's territory is. Because they're probably a few kilometers from where we are on cheetah plains. Now, it is interesting. I think if that male, the big male, had moved into this area and smelt this kill, he would definitely scavenge it from his son. He would take it away and feed on it and probably chase his son off. this young male leopard. They do that from time to time, the big male leopards. If they find females with a kill or younger leopards with kills, they'll definitely chase them off and finish what's left. Look at those teeth. See, it's amazing how he started feeding on the skull. There's obviously some soft meat there that you can see, but he's really fed on most of the meat around the skull. And actually, that's a lovely view of him feeding there now. You see how he's using the side of his mouth to eat. You see that now. I've mentioned this a few times before. But it's the carnassial shear, the back teeth of the leopard. The molars and premolars overlap slightly, and they act as a scissor motion, so it's easy to tear and break down the meat. So that's what they use to chew some of the meat and tear it off. They will use their front teeth to tear open bits of the carcass, but they'll use those powerful back teeth to really eat the meat, and that's known as the carnassial shear. I'm going to sit here a little bit longer, but Tayla's got a beautiful sunset she'd like to show you quickly.
We do, my goodness, I don't know what's wrong with me today. That would have been a good deer joke. But I think that we're exceptionally lucky this afternoon, because I thought that we weren't going to get a view of the sunset. But luckily for us, there was a small gap in the clouds, and isn't that absolutely stunning? And for me, there's only one way to end a day in Africa, and that's of course to end it with a sunset, and that we indeed have this fine afternoon. Now there's actually some life here, can you believe it? I'm just coming around this side. There's some crested francolins. They're just coming through here now, a whole family of them, mom and dad and some juveniles. You might see them pop out into the open. For now, they're just behind the shrubs. But what they're going to do is they're probably going to look for a nice high point where they can position themselves and the male will do one last call for the evening. They've gone a bit scared. There's a few coming from the back. Now come on forward, because there's a nice open patch and it would be perfect for us to see them. Now we won't be getting any silhouettes, unfortunately, of the crested francolins. Someone else calling down there. Let's maybe move this way just a little bit and see if we can't get a view of them. Come on, guys, where did you go? I feel like I'm at home and I should be going kip, 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 kip with the chickens. Oh, there they are. It worked. I don't think that worked. I think it was me spooking them. Bye-bye. Off they go, running away, all the little chicks. And hopefully they make it through the night, because there's plenty of things out here. As the sun starts to set, that will come out and find them a very tasty morsel. Now, we're going to keep on moving, dodging through drainage lines and all sorts of fun things, which is nice in the fading light, but I'm going to send you across to something else that's even better, sitting in a tree and eating an impala.
Now, he's moved slightly, everyone. Have a look at him. He's just decided to change his position a little bit. He's been pulling that carcass. There, you see, he's got it by the neck, and he's just moving it slightly higher up into the tree, trying to reposition it. Just getting another vehicle to reposition quickly. Oh, that's such a nice view of him. Look at that. Wow, that is beautiful. My friend Chris wanted to be famous there for a second, so he tried to get into the camera. Oh, that's beautiful. See, now watch how agile he is, moving around that tree. He's been moving that carcass a little bit higher up. That is really, really special. Look how well camouflaged he is up in that tree at the moment. He was trying to, like I said, reposition that carcass, but I don't think he had much luck. I don't know if he knows where he wants to put it. Now I'm not sure. I think I've lost comms with Alice here. Alice, if you want to link quickly, go for it. Okay, Alice, I got you there. What did you say? Sorry. Okay. Sorry, I just lost Alice there for a second. You see now that carcass is now hanging in a position that if a hyena had to come past, they would easily be able to pull that down from there. See that? So there's actually not much left of the kind of the hind quarters and the stomach area. You can see he's fed on most of that. That's why I say this kill was definitely made yesterday. I think possibly yesterday afternoon, maybe fed on it for most of the night and this morning. We'll have to find out from James why he didn't find this leopard this morning. I suppose he was in the tent, but that's no excuse, James. You can see he's cleaned up that skull quite a bit, and that's just by licking and chewing and eating parts of it. Like I said, there's some soft parts of the antelope there that they enjoy feeding on, probably a lot of nutrients. And it is a young male. You can see those horns again. So just as we thought, it's a young male. It's not a full-grown male that would have been rutting. Some of you were asking, do we think, was it a male's rutting that possibly got distracted and he managed to hunt one of them? But it's not a full-grown male, so he wouldn't have been rutting, this young male. K4M0, it's a lot of little numbers and letters to remember. You asked, when will this leopard need to hunt again after he's fed on this impala? Well, they're very opportunistic, so it all depends. They could possibly hunt immediately afterwards if some impala came past. However, generally speaking, once he's finished this carcass, maybe 2 or 3 days before he decides that he needs to hunt again. Also, like I said, with them being opportunistic, they try not to get too hungry before they hunt again. But I would say that's an average after a big kill, 2 or 3 days, and then try to hunt again. Well, violet, not necessarily, because they can feed on a carcass for 2 days, 2 or 3 days sometimes. A little bit of rotten meat doesn't really affect the leopards or any of the predators for that matter, like it would for us. So yeah, there's still good fresh meat there on that carcass, but parts of it are most likely starting to rot a little bit. But their digestive system's much stronger than ours, so it doesn't affect them like it would affect us. You see his belly's quite full too. Wow, this young leopard, I think, is very, very pleased with himself for making this kill. And as I was saying, everyone, and I think this is possibly the first time that young Hosana has made his own kill, or substantial kill. I mean, we know he's fed on little mongoose and and terrapins and so on, and possibly guinea fowl or franklins that we maybe just haven't seen yet. But I think the first substantial kill, a large antelope. I think this is the first time. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think so. A kill that he's managed to make himself. Now, from one leopard in a tree, Jamie's got another one.
A dangling leopard in a tree, or at least dangling foot out of a tree. Tingana's taken the opportunity to have a little bit of a snooze in his marula tree. He doesn't have to worry about hoisting a kill like his son does, which means that he can sit quite contentedly. And I have to say, I think it's just the angle that we're sitting at, but he looks so compressed. He looks like he's squashed himself right up, which has made him look a little bit like he's shaped like a barrel. Look at that belly. It's massive. Although Tingana is the king of ungainly-looking poses in trees, every time I see him, he just looks that little bit weird, a little bit odd. And the last time was when he stole Mvula's kill on Gallagher Shortcut. Oh, shame. Biting flies, attacking his ear, nicks and cuts that all leopards get with age as they grow older. Ah, flies, you made him turn his head. We had such a beautiful view. Oh, Finn, who is 8 years old, Finn feels really sorry for the animals with the biting flies and would like to know if we could spray them with anything. Finn, it would be really difficult to do without scaring them, and we try not to interfere too much with nature, because one thing that we've learnt is that nature knows best, and as little interference as we can possibly do with the animals, that's what we try and do. We don't try and interfere in any way. And it would be really difficult to get up to Tingana and say, listen, you sit still, and I'm just going to spray you with something that will help you with the flies. Because he's not going to understand that. He's just going to think that we're doing something horrible to him, and he might be scared of people after that. And that would just be one leopard. Imagine trying to find all of them, and the lions, and all the antelope. We'd need tanks and tanks of bug spray. But don't worry, Finn, we also sit with the biting flies, so we understand what the animals go through, and it's not too bad. It irritates them a little bit, but it doesn't bother them too much. It's part of their life. That is a gorgeous screenshot that happened right there. Leopard print all the way. Now, he's been spotted by the monkeys at Cheetah Plains Lodge. And what astounds me about that is just how far away they are, and the fact that they saw him. Look, he's not exactly hiding when he's up in a tree like this, but the fact that they've seen him from about, I would say, 500 meters away, 500 yards, just is an important lesson to us. When we're searching for leopards and we hear monkeys alarm calling, that the leopard could be quite a lot further than we expect. That is such a graceful draping of his tail right there. Oh, there we go. Head's back looking at the monkeys with a somewhat dismissive expression on his face. He could not be less concerned that they've seen him. He's got a comfortable tree and a full belly. It's not like he's going to try and hunt something. He could, but he's unlikely to make too much of an effort. Glancing off. Leopards are so perfect. They really are. Of all of the animals out here, they are just so beautifully designed. And I really like Tingana. It makes me sad that there are people who vilify him for what happened with Shaluva. And just for new viewers, Tingana killed a female leopard a couple of months ago now. And we're still not entirely sure why he did it. He just ran in and bit her. Okay, let's just go over quickly to Hosana, see what he's up to.
Well, Hosana is trying to get this kill out of the tree now. Oh, he just pulled it down. I don't know why. It's probably not that comfortable feeding up in the tree. So that's why he's decided to do that. Now, we did hear some other alarm calls, it sounded like, on the other side of the river, but I don't know. Or other side of the dam, rather, not river. Oh, there's some Impala behind us. You'll hear them barking. Just listen. Just for a second, just wait. Three female Impala and a male just directly behind us. We're not going to show you now. Let's just watch the leopard and see what he does. But they gave little alarm calls, just a little bark. But they've stopped now. They've definitely seen the leopard. You see, this is actually a perfect little spot for him, because he's basically on a path leading directly down to the water for a lot of the animals that sleep up on the clearing. We've seen the wildebeest walking through here, Impala, the Nyala. So if I was a leopard, I'd hang around here for quite some time, because it's a perfect spot. Folks, shall I try and reverse a little bit? Let's just see. Hang on, let me try and get us in another position quickly. Maybe if I can afford. Wait. Did you see them? No, it's alright. No, they're directly behind us now. How's that, folks? Is that a bit better?
Yeah, that's good.
Let's see. Well, Mercedes, you asked whose territory is Hosana in. Well, he's in the big male leopard around here is Tingana. That's whose territory he's in. So Tingana will tolerate this young leopard because it is his offspring. They'll tolerate him around for a little bit longer because he's not posing a threat. But often what happens is, even with male leopards, even if it is their offspring, when they get to an age where they're starting to look for their own territory, the dominant males, even if they are their fathers, will chase them out. Sorry, this branch, unfortunately, is directly in front of us, but we've still got a nice view of him.
Tingana staring off into the distance. How spoilt are we that we get to switch between two different leopards? And I agree absolutely with Byron that I think that Tingana would tolerate Hosana for now. As Hosana gets older, it will become harder and harder for them to tolerate each other's company, or at least for Tingana to tolerate him, because it's his job to defend his territory against all male leopards, even once one reaches sexual maturity, even if it's his son. That is one of the big reasons why young male leopards disperse. They have to hide away from both their fathers and all other dominant males in an area that would not take kindly to their presence. Pretty eyes. Oh, that's beautiful. Cosmic, yes. Leopards, of the big cats that we see out here, leopards are the most solitary of all of them. Leopards and female cheetah. Leopards obviously are only seen in each other's company, or usually only seen in each other's company, when they are either mating or they have cubs. Sometimes you get odd situations where, because of course they all know each other in an area, where a dominant male might come and share a kill with a female, or her previous set of cubs will come and share with her. But for the most part, they are very much solitary. Cheetah, female cheetah are solitary unless they have cubs, but male cheetah form coalitions, or very often form coalitions, because it's much easier for them to establish a territory in that manner. Yes, of all of the big cats, I would say the leopard is the most solitary. And I don't know, I always find when I see them mating that it seems as though they, even though instinct drives them to mate, it seems as though actually they really would rather be on their own. They don't seem terribly impressed with each other's company. Now he's looking across, getting comfortable and looking across at a herd of impala that I saw in the distance. And of course, with all of the rutting going on, it's actually an exciting time for the leopards, because the male impala are not paying attention, which is how, well, I think, one of the reasons behind why Hosana managed to nab that young male that he's caught. He's been doing really well for himself. But a big male like Tingana could easily take down an adult male impala, a fully grown adult male impala. There have been recorded cases of males the size of Tingana taking down baby giraffe. They are phenomenally powerful creatures. Could this be a better leopard tree? I have to ask you. Look at these perfect branches. Now, Jason in Sri Lanka, a complex question. Jason in Sri Lanka says, we're looking at a subspecies of leopard. How are subspecies created? The other tricky thing, of course, is to get biologists to agree on subspecies and which animals are classified as subspecies and which are not. So a subspecies is basically a member of the same species. They could still interbreed with each other, they could still produce viable offspring, but there's enough difference in either their physiological or genetic makeup that separates them just enough that they are classified as a subspecies. And you'll find, Jason, that what's created that is quite often geographical separation. So separation in terms of perhaps there is a large river in between the different subspecies, or more likely potentially just different habitats that they've adapted to, perhaps a big desert that stops them from crossing. And as a result, through thousands and thousands of years of breeding, certain genetic traits of the ones, let's use the river example as an oversimplification, certain genetic traits have been established in the leopards on the left-hand side of the river, and certain genetic traits have been established on the leopards on the right-hand side of the river. And once those have become clear enough, they then become classified as a subspecies. But it's a difficult one, because not everybody agrees on exactly how to classify certain subspecies. And you'll probably find several articles either classifying this as an African leopard, or a Southern African leopard, or a South African leopard. There'll be different types. Well, since Tingana doesn't seem to be going anywhere with his full belly, let's go back across to Hosana, who's filling his.
Well, you are so fortunate this afternoon, everyone, to be able to jump from one leopard sighting to the next. But young Hosana is still feeding on the ground, and some of you might be thinking, why did he bring this kill down? And again, I think it's purely because it's easier for him to lie down on the ground and feed here than it is to try and balance in a tree. Again, you can see him using that carnassial shear, those very sharp teeth at the back of his mouth, all the power, all the muscles. You can see broken ribs. So, Preeta, well, first thing is how we can recognize some of the leopards and the difference between the two males that you've seen this afternoon. For one, the most obvious thing would be size. So that big male leopard, Tingana, is much bigger than this young male leopard. He's got a very prominent dewlap. Much thicker neck and head compared to this young leopard. Also, the ears are a good sign of age, perhaps, so you can see if it's an older leopard or a younger leopard. And the other thing is then, if you really get into the technical side of identifying leopards, they've got a unique spot pattern. All of the leopards have got a unique spot pattern just above the whiskers. So you see that whisker line You can actually see it there. So if you look at this beautiful leopard's face, as we are facing him, so it would be for us on the left-hand side, so he's right-hand side of his face, there'll be spots above the whiskers, and then on his left-hand side, or our right-hand side looking at him, you can actually see he's got 3 very prominent spots just above that whisker line. 1, 2, 3, the big one at the back. So I'm not sure what he is on the left-hand side, but it could be a 2 or 3, so Hosana would be a 2-3 spot pattern leopard, for example. So each leopard is slightly different, so that's how we would then identify them. And again, a lot of people ask about the names of the leopards and identifying them. Generally, I find, and all of you know this about me, and I try and steer away a little bit from the naming of the animals, purely because I just enjoy seeing them. Doesn't matter if it's a male or female leopard, or old or young, but it is nice for a story, and it does obviously help us a lot on Safari Live. And all of you that have been viewing for a very long time, you get to know the animals, you get to see them fairly regularly, especially because they are so territorial. But I, especially when I'm guiding guests, we tend to stay away from the naming of the animals, because I just think it's wonderful to see an animal. Doesn't matter which one you see, unless you have got a story or people are going into that area regularly. Because other parts of Africa, if you see a leopard, it's just a leopard. There maybe not as many vehicles around or people viewing the animals every day. So then it's just a male leopard or a female leopard. But for the purpose of the show and that, and for the guides in the area get to know the movements of certain animals, it is nice to have a bit of a story behind them. Leonard, you asked, are the leopard spots distinctly inherited from their parents? Now, I'm not sure if you mean the spot pattern or just the spots in general, but that's just genetic. That's the way leopards are camouflaged. So it would purely be genetic, I would say, if that makes sense. But the spot patterns, obviously, those are all slightly different. Wow, there are a number of these little stink bugs around at the moment. That's not good. Don't want any of them. For some reason, there's plenty of them now. Tonight. Oh, quickly go and have a look at Tingana.
Tingana has just sort of called. He half called, and he's alerted the Impala to his presence here. And I'm hoping as soon as he hits the ground, once he gets out of this tree, he's going to call again. And I'm just going to quickly make sure I've got my spotlight ready for him. We were just in the process of putting our infrared lights on, and we hadn't quite finished said process. There we go. That's the sawing I was talking about. I'm not going to reposition now because I think he's going to come straight down, and then there's a good chance he's going to call again. I'll come down this way, boy. Oh, you're hidden anyway. Hold on. Yeah, he's down. Sorry, I could not do that in time. Okay, let's just switch off in case he does call again. He's going to walk straight towards us. Oh! He's marking his territory, scent marking. Oh, we're just going to have to sit patiently and wait for him to come out. Here he comes. Now, bear in mind we are going to have to reposition potentially relatively soon. Come on, boy. I was so hoping you were going to call right now. Oh, don't count him out yet. Oh, I love that sound. Now, he's been well and truly... Oh, okay. Alright then, that was unexpected. Now, B. Wilson, while we wait for him to call once again, you want to know, is he eating something? He is licking something. I wonder if he didn't have a kill here earlier. Or was... What is that? Can't quite work it out. Sorry, B. Wilson. Just want to work out what he's eating, and then I'll answer your question. What he's licking. He looks... Ugh. Sorry, that was a very unprofessional response to what I think he's doing. I think he's busy licking some kind of dung or scat. It could be hyena, it could be lion, and it doesn't look flesh-coloured unless it's the stomach contents of a small animal, but that's not blood. That's something else. I think he's eating scat, personally. It's got that greenish tinge to it that hyena scat has. That's why I went, ugh. It was a gut visceral reaction. We can't judge the animals for having slightly different tastes to us. Oh boy, your breath is gonna smell horrible. Would you like a mint? Was that a yes? It was very cutesy. B. Wilson, sorry, you want to know how many years Tingana's got left as the dominant male. Hard to tell. How old is he? I mean, he's around about, 10 or so years old, from what we know. It could be that he could have another 2 or 3. It very much depends on the young blood coming in, the young male leopards. And that's hard to predict because they can move and cover such enormous distances. We're going to sit patiently with the king, but apparently on Safari Live, it's Father Sunday.
So, Jamie, you're very fortunate that you've also got a leopard and you're going to follow him for a little bit longer. Now, everyone, we are going to leave young Hosana, and the reason for that is because he's pulled the kill down onto the ground. He is a little bit more exposed, and also we need to be respectful and because of hyena. We don't want to shine the spotlights or have the vehicles around here too much at night, because that may draw attention to him and he could potentially lose this kill to hyena. We've had a wonderful, wonderful sighting with him, and I'm sure all of you would agree that we don't want to stay unnecessarily, and we always do this if kills, especially with young leopards, if they've got them on the ground, we don't shine the spotlights, we don't stay with them purely from a sensitivity point of view, because it will attract potential predators, other predators, and most likely hyena. So, but really, really wonderful sighting. I'm glad you all got to enjoy it with us. I'm so happy for this young leopard too. Really special. So Mario X, you just asked about that dewlap, that extra bit of skin around the neck of the leopard, and what age will he develop it? Well, generally with young leopards, you start seeing it from about 4 or 5 years old. You'll start seeing a thicker neck developing, and from what I've seen, that's also when leopards tend to try and set up territories for themselves, young males. So around about then. About 4 or 5 years old, and you'll see, but obviously the older they get, like Tingana now, what is he? I think he's about 10 years old or so, isn't he? 9, 10 years old. He's got a very prominent dewlap. Alright, well, Jamie's still trying to follow Tingana. I'm going to move out of this sighting, but what a wonderful, wonderful sighting with young Hosana. So, from Hosana to Tingana.
Well, in theory, that's the theory. Here comes Tingana. I found a stump. Here he goes. He's going towards water. Our signal could well disappear here, everybody. It is a well-known bad signal area. There's a chance you might lose us very shortly. Just hold on.
Thanks very much, Chris. We're also moving out of the area. Thank you, Texan. So we've just moved out of the area quickly, leaving young Hosana, and we'll see what else we can find now with the last few minutes. Unfortunately, lost signal with Jamie there briefly. That's all right. The other vehicles also moved off. Oh, starting to get a bit chilly now, Fergs. You layer one already. Right. No, copy. Thanks, Chris. Get the jackets on. Fergs, how's our doing there? Is it? Don't worry, I'll get this. Multitasking, driving, putting the jacket on. Fergs is fixing the infrared light. Fergs, you know what? Just pull it off. Yeah, it's a bit difficult. I don't think we'll have. Let's just see. I'll get the spotlight out. We'll see if we can find one or two chameleons. Who knows? What else? Haven't seen bush babies for a while. Well, what a great afternoon, everyone. I mean, 2 leopards, we saw some hippo, we saw buffalo. A great day in general. I mean, wild dog this morning, that was a surprise. So, it just shows you, bush changes daily. When was it? Yesterday? Well, there was nothing. Well, we didn't have much luck. It was a bit quiet, but it happens like that, and it's good. It keeps us humble, makes us work a little bit harder to find the animals, and just always reminds us these are wild animals. You can't guarantee if you're going to see them or not. And I think that is very important that you remember that. Oh, the tip of the day, Byron's tip of the day. What will it be today? Well, I've said this before, but I'm just going to remind you. One of my tips of the day was patience. Patience pays off in the bush, and it did again for us this afternoon. Sitting with that young leopard, he was fast asleep, well, resting in the grass, and a few people came in and saw it and moved out again. We sat, we waited, we were patient, and we got to see him get up and go off and feed on that carcass, and then eventually pull it out of the tree. So we had all the action. It doesn't get better than that. But I don't know, what tip of the day can I give? Sure, I always get caught off guard. I need to think of this earlier on in the day, and I need to plan it a lot better. The forward planning, there we go, folks. Thank you. Perhaps tip of the day, forward planning. However, I do think it helps to have a plan in the bush. So if you're going out on a drive, have a plan, have an idea where you're going to be going or what you're going to be looking for. But don't be afraid to change the plan, because the bush is unpredictable, so you don't know what you're going to find. So that doesn't really count as tip of the day, because that's just all up in the air, really. It doesn't count, does it? Oh dear. Tip of the day, always stop for sundowners. Karen says your tip of the day, you say it's never steal a leopard kill. Yeah, I think that's a good tip. I've never stolen a leopard kill.
Me neither, Karen.
Fergus hasn't either. Oh, was it a chameleon? Oh, come on. I hope so. Was it a chameleon? Am I just seeing things? Yeah. Just seeing things. Don't worry, Fergs, not even worth focusing on. It must have moved. Yeah, jumping chameleon. They're sneaky, those little chameleons, jumping chameleons. So what was everybody's highlight today? What was it? The wild dog? Was it the leopards? Or actually, just this afternoon. I wasn't out this morning, so what was everybody's highlight? I'm curious. Was it seeing Tingana? We did see Tingana. Was it yesterday morning? We found him, and he covered quite a large distance, marking territory from Arathusa all the way through to Cheetah Plains. So it's a few kilometers in one day, quite easily, as leopards do. Oh, there's a road. Let's take that road. Okay, well, it sounds like Jamie's got signal back. I wonder if she's managed to stay with Tingana. Let's go find out.
Did manage to stay with Tingana. He went straight to where there's no signal. So unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. Instead, what I'll do is I will show you a bit of somewhat startled Impala that he was thinking about hunting. Let me just go, I'm going to go all the way around so that I can show you this. Now, one thing we're going to try and do is just wait a little bit longer, just in case he decides to shoot a signal. Unfortunately, it's just one of those places that we just don't have signal. Just one of those things. But we've got some Impala here, and what we can do is switch to infrared, because it's going to be a little bit dark otherwise. Let's see how they... Okay, apparently our signal's not working so well. We're going to send you back over to Byron.
Oh dear, Jamie. Well, best you start making your way back. I think you're quite far. You're all the way on Cheetah Plains. I think the next thing we are going to try track down this evening is going to be dinner. For some reason I'm rather peckish. Very hungry, actually. And I'm one of those people, I get hangry. So I get a little grumpy when I'm hungry. Believe it or not. Now a lot of you are saying you'd like to see some bush babies. Well, I'm looking. I promise you I'm looking. I would love to see some bush babies too. Let's scan these trees. I'm not far from little drainage lines, so there might be some activity around here. And little water holes. Maybe a civet or a genet. Wouldn't that be great? James, I think most of the bush babies would have started feeding on tree sap already. Well, that's generally what they feed on, is a lot of the tree sap. So from the acacia trees, especially the acacia trees. Just looking. Come on, we've got to find something. Wouldn't it be nice? I don't think I've seen no, I have seen a genet on Safari Live. I'm talking absolute rubbish. Of course I have. I've seen a few of them. But I haven't seen a civet. So I'd like to find a little civet. Sorry, Fergs. No, don't worry. Oh, little bronze-wing coursers. It's great how they make you put the lights off, and as soon as you put the lights off, they take off and fly away. Now, the temperature's starting to drop quite a bit, as I mentioned earlier, so we've got jackets. Oh, Alice has got highlights. Yes. So, Bree, you said your highlight was Hosana on a kill. Good, I'm very glad. So that's a little highlight. I must admit, Bree, I think it's my highlight too, and I'll tell you why. It's because we were so worried about that young leopard. Well, I was, because I wasn't sure if he was really going to be successful in terms of hunting. They seemed a little inexperienced, and I'm still worried about Shungile. But it just shows you they adapt very, very well. Leopards are incredibly adaptable animals. They're able to adapt to any type of situation, and if they need to hunt, they will. So from him trying to catch little terrapins, he eventually managed to catch an impala. So that is really wonderful. Come on, bush babies, where are you? With Impala. Okay, well, Jamie's found Impala. What are you doing with Impala at night, Jamie?
I'm sitting with the Impala in the darkness with our infrared on so that we don't disturb them or interfere with their day in any way. And it wouldn't be very fair to do so because, well, these poor Impala have just had a lucky escape from a leopard. They saw him up in the tree, they heard him calling, and naturally now that they don't know where he is, that tends to have a rather unsettling effect on them. And you can hardly blame them. Because there's such a good chance that they could end up as his next meal, especially wandering about in these long grasses, and they're actually going to try and stick somewhere where the grass is slightly shorter and slightly more open. You can see this female is on high alert, listening constantly. She's not looking at us. None of them are looking at us. The one on the left, slightly less high alert. She's hungry, taking the opportunity to ruminate. So they know it's here somewhere. They know this leopard's here somewhere, but they don't know where. And it's not the leopard that you see that gets you if you're an impala. That's why when we see them, when they spot leopards, they'll often run after them and try to follow them. Now, I beg your forgiveness, I just need to double check something with Mike quickly. So you keep looking at the impala. I just need to have a conversation. Mike for Jamie. Mike, have you still got him there? Copy that. Thanks very much, Mike. Mike, we've got an urgent film shot that we need to get. The guy who's getting it is leaving tomorrow. Would it be okay if we stay an extra 5 minutes around your lodge and just double check for him on our way home? Copy that. Thank you. Right. Well, there you go. You got a little behind the scenes there. Part of the VR project that we have been filming or helping to film. I say it, I have not been doing any filming at all. I've just been putting the car in the right place. But the biome production team have been here and done a lot of recording of footage. They were here last year. They've been here at the beginning of March. And Rollo is now here once again. So you've heard me say the name Rollo several times on the drive. And that's who is in charge of that weird alien-looking thing that was on the front of my vehicle. And I just needed to do some chatting to Mike to make sure it would be okay to film. Just common courtesy when you're outside a lodge. And while these impala keep an eye out for their leopard, hopefully they find it for me again. It would really be helpful. Let's go across to Byron, who is already on his way home.
I am indeed, Jamie. I've just approached the clearings above camp, and we were chatting about it earlier. I think we need to rename these clearings Quarantine. I'm not a fan of that name. But just look at this beautiful silhouette that we have at the moment. A very, very lovely silhouette of those trees. Some clear skies, a few clouds in the background there, but there's still lovely color in the sky. And it really is a beautiful evening. I wonder if we're going to hear any lions. Hoping that the Nkuhuma Pride come back down into this area. We haven't seen them for quite some time. It would be nice to see them again. Or even one of the coalitions. coalition members. Holly, so the largest and only chameleon species we get here are known as the flapneck chameleon, but the largest one I've seen has been pretty big. The largest one is probably around, well, let me show you. It's, I would say, body size, maybe about that big body, so about that long, about that thick. It's quite a big chameleon. And that's the largest flapneck chameleon I've seen. And then the tail. Oh, a second, I thought I heard something moving here next to me. No, nothing. It's just the leaves in the wind. No need to get nervous just yet. So it's been a wonderful, wonderful day. We've seen a lot of animals again. Those wild dogs this morning. That was really exciting. Apparently they moved directly east onto Torchwood. Not sure if they were found this afternoon. I didn't hear anything. It's sometimes difficult to find the wild dogs again unless you follow them and see where they go and rest in the mornings, and then head straight out there early in the afternoon and spend time with them. Because once they get up and start moving, it's very difficult to find them again unless you bump into them running across a road somewhere when they are hunting. And then we had obviously buffalo. That was nice. Haven't seen buffalo for quite some time. Well, I haven't. And then 2 different leopard sightings, which is great. They were a day late. World Leopard Day was yesterday, so they're a day late. But I suppose that's Africa. Everything happens slightly slower than the rest of the world, so maybe that's why they only decided to come out today. But 2 leopards in an afternoon is very, very good. So I know Tayla's back at camp already. She walked back earlier. It's getting dark a lot earlier now as we move into winter. Jamie's on her way back. She's just finishing up an IR segment. No, what is VRIR? Oh, that's it. Virtual reality infrared. So Jamie's doing that at the moment. But she will be heading back too. So from all of them, thank you very much and goodbye. And then thank you to the ladies in the final control for the voices in my head. It was Louise and Alice this afternoon. Thank you for the questions, ladies, and for directing the show. And thank you again to all of you for all the questions and all the comments. We really appreciate it, and we do enjoy it, and hope you enjoyed the show with us. We will see you tomorrow morning for our sunrise safari. Have a good day and good night wherever you are. Bye-bye, everyone.